Hey guys, this is Mozzie. Welcome back to my studio. I hope you guys are all doing great. Today, I'm super excited to bring you a review of the Chalkola 32 Colors acrylic paint set. Chalkola was actually nice enough to reach out to me and send me this set for free to review, so a special shout out and thanks to them. I really appreciate it. Now, on to the review. The first thing I did when I received these paints after admiring the beautiful packaging, I love those bright colors, was to do what I always do with new media and supplies. And what is that, fellow creators? It's swatching, of course. With any new art supply or medium you're using, it's incredibly important to swatch out all the colors on a piece of paper or canvas to see what the colors actually look like IRL. The printed labels just don't do the colors proper justice as much as they try, so this step is really important in figuring out what colors you're actually going to use for your piece. Here I'm just using a piece of watercolor paper gridded with 32 different swatches, and I drew a few black lines in black Sharpie in each square to show the transparency of each color when I painted over those lines. So this Chalkola swatch test taught me a few things. First, that there are two titanium whites, which we'll get to later. Second, that there are a lot of cool colors in this set, like blues and greens and purples, which is great because I tend to use those the most. And third, that compared to Arteza paints, which is a brand similar in price and quality to Chalkola, the Chalkola paints dried a little bit more matte and more kind of satiny than glossy. And also that the Chalkola paints were pretty transparent. Now, there are some colors that are just transparent and you can't get around that, like some blues and greens and some reds, but a lot of the colors for the Chalkola paints were pretty transparent, so we'll see how that affects the painting process here in a minute. So here's the Arteza paints right here on the screen, and here are the Chalkola paint swatches. So I'm just comparing them, and you can see the difference in the sheen when they're dried. Here I'm just creating a painting of a young woman in a limited palette just to see how the Chalkola paints perform. And I gotta say, overall, I really enjoyed working with him. It's been a while since I've actually worked with traditional media, so it was really nice to get back into it. So I'm starting out with just the plain, simple purple background with a light wash of purple throughout the entire piece, just to kind of make the colors a little bit more cohesive, kind of like an underpainting type thing, and then adding on thin layers of the main colors, so the teal of the dress and the skin tones. While the experience was mostly very positive, there are a few setbacks that I ran into with these particular paints. First of all, as I mentioned before, was the transparency. Now, as I said before, some colors are just transparent and you can't get around that, but I found that most of the colors I worked with the Chalkola paints were pretty transparent. If you can see in the painting, I drew an undersketch directly underneath the painting on top of the canvas, and then I painted over top of it. And I drew that in a purple colored pencil, so it was kind of dark, but the paint was transparent enough that even after several layers of blending in the face and the skin, you could still see the sketch lines underneath. You can even see it here on the teal of the dress as well. And that could be a stylistic choice where you keep those lines for kind of more of a raw or sketchy feel, but I don't really personally want that in my finished painting, so I had to go in and add a lot of extra layers to make sure that the colored pencil didn't show through. Another problem that I ran into with these paints is that they smell a little bit. I mean, it's not so bad that I'm running out of my studio every 5 minutes gasping for air or anything, but it's definitely a noticeable odor, and it's stronger than the ones that the Arteza paints had. So there are a few cons, as with everything, but what about some pros? These paints were really pretty smooth and blended really well in my experience. They dried relatively quickly, which is good for me because I'm very impatient. That does mean that you do have to blend a little bit quicker and work a little faster with these, but I prefer that to paints that dry really slowly so that I can add more layers, but it also depends on the kind of painting I'm going for. So I wouldn't use these for a painting that is like super duper blended and I need the colors to stay wet for a long time. So just like kind of get to know your paints, get to know your medium, and work with them how you will. Now, the colors were also super nice and bright and saturated, so you could tint and shade and dull them out to your preference. And because there are 32 colors, you already have a lot of pre-mixed tones that stand well on their own or as a good base when mixing other colors. Like, for example, I paint a lot of people, and as such, I really enjoyed using their flesh tint color as a base for Caucasian skin tones because it was just so nice to have a base that was pre-mixed so that I could change it up how I wanted and tint it how I wanted or shade it however I wanted without having to mix up an entire base. So that was really nice to work with. And personally, I absolutely loved the two titanium whites. I didn't actually use both of them because I didn't use as much white as I thought I would with this painting, but it was so nice to know that I wouldn't run out of white in this set. Now, some people might think that it's a little bit of a ripoff because they say 32 colors, and it's technically not 32 colors in the set, it's 32 paint tubes in the set, but I prefer having the two titanium whites. I think that really speaks to how Chalkola understands how their customer base works and how paints work and how people use more white than they tend to use with other colors. So that's a huge deal to me. I really, really like it. So overall, I had a really good experience using these Chalkola paints to create this piece, and my interactions with Chalkola themselves have been really, really great. They're really personal and open, and they checked in with me all the time and everything, which really tells me that they're a brand that cares about their customers a lot. So if you're worried about that, then you don't have to be with them. So it's been a great experience working with them. If you're interested in purchasing this set of 32 acrylic paints from Chalkola, and I definitely recommend trying them out, then check the link out below and use the code MorganD10 for 10% off your purchase. And if you use that link, I'll also get a commission off your purchase, which is pretty nifty if you ask me. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and the process of me exploring this new set of paints. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And as always, keep on creating. Bye-bye.